computers, everything.
All right, good morning and welcome to the March 11th, 2020 meeting of the Cape Fear Public Utility Authority. Since we have called this meeting to order, the first thing we need to do is determine a quorum, and to dispense with going through roll call, I will ask for a motion for Wes Quarter and Jessica Cannon.
So moved. Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right. All right, now we will move on to the next item on the agenda, which is a resolution honoring Pat Cusack. And I do this with some reservation. Pat, if you'll come forward, please. I'd actually do it with a lot of reservation. I'm always sad to see people leave the board that have made a significant contribution to the board, and Pat has certainly done that. So it is my pleasure, with reservation, to read this resolution today. Whereas the Cape Fear Public Utility Authority is a body politic organized in July 2007 by the city of Wilmington and New Hanover County to own and operate the water and sewer utilities for the county and city. And whereas in 2011, the city and county jointly appointed Pat Cusack to serve as a CFPUA board member. And whereas in 2016, Ms. Cusack was elected to the New Hanover County Commission and appointed to the CFPUA as a commissioner representative in 2017. Whereas Ms. Cusack served on the board of directors until December 2019, Ms. Cusack served as chairwoman, vice chair, and secretary on the board of directors. And whereas Ms. Cusack served on the executive, finance, long-range planning, communications, and human resources committees, serving as chair of the executive, communications, and human resources committees. Whereas Ms. Cusack has continuously and without fail proven her support of CFPUA's mission to provide high-quality service to the citizens and businesses of this area. And whereas Ms. Cusack has proven her support of CFPUA employees through her guidance and involvement as a board member. Now therefore, board and staff do formally recognize and thank Pat Cusack for her exemplary service as a member of the Cape Fear Public Utility Authority. Adopted this 11th day of March, 2020. Pat.
I attended a lot of board meetings here, and I don't think I've ever been nervous until today. I'm afraid that I'm going to leave somebody out, so please know that that's not intentional. I'm still quite convinced that I would never be a sitting county commissioner if I hadn't been appointed in 2011, and I always said at that point that was one of the few things that the city and the county ever agreed on, was appointing me to the utility authority. I want to thank Jim Fleckner, who taught me that there are always two sides to every story, and Linda Miles for yet again another closed session. And everybody knows that the lady who really runs this place over here is Donna Pope. Mm-hmm. I'll also never forget one of the best friends that I made over here that I hope to have for the rest of my life, and that's Mike McGill. My little brother, Mike Brown, and Charlie. Well, you know Charlie for what. I have enjoyed every single minute over here. We've been through some really trying times, but I can tell you one thing, that the most encouraging and incredible thing that ever happened to me was getting to know, for as many as I could, the employees who work here every day, who go out in the field and do work that perhaps other people would not want to do, in the cold, in the heat, from dogs, from storms and everything else, to make sure that the people of this county have sewer services and clean water. And thank you all for all that you do to continue to do that, and for letting me be a small part of it for the years that I was here. Thank you all so much.
Make a motion to pass the resolution.
Do we have a
So
second?
moved. Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right. We will move on to the approval of our minutes.
February minutes are in your packet. I need a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, we will move on to our public comments period. Donna, do we have anybody speaking today?
No, sir.
So,
Move right
Mr.
along.
Fleitner, have you got updates from our speakers from our February 12th meeting?
I do, thank you. Our first speaker last month spoke about environmental policies and renewable energy, and those issues are being taken up by the Sustainability Committee, so we certainly appreciate that person's comments. We also had 4 speakers who were interested in an access easement across one of our pump station sites up in Porter's Neck. The board ultimately approved giving the adjacent property owners those access to that easement. 2 of the adjacent property owners have requested to use the easement, but none has submitted a request to put any improvements or do any work within the easement. So we'll continue to work with that.
Can I ask who the property owners were that want to use it? They live in that cul-de-sac?
It was the one that had the pond behind her house
Mhm.
and
Okay.
the person that had made the request.
Gotcha. Thank you.
That's the update.
All right, thank you very much. That will move us to our consent agenda. There are 6 items on our consent agenda today.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right. Brings us on to new business, and we will begin with our administrative reports and our attorney's report.
I don't have anything in open session. As Pat said, I do have to go into closed session to discuss CFPUA versus Comores.
Worthy.
Thank you, Linda. And we will move on to our executive director's report. Jim?
Thank you. I'm happy to say that Lori McCoy, our new HR director, is here this morning. Lori? She comes to us from New Hanover Regional Medical Center and brings excellent experience, a lot of exciting ideas, and we're very happy to have her on board. The key indicators report, the environmental report, and the safety report are all in your packet. They all continue to show positive trends, but if there are questions, staff is here to answer them.
Jim, one.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chair, can I ask a question?
Please.
Thank you. On the development services activities, I think it was on my page 54. One quick question. Under the inspections performed graph, showed 160 in February, which looks like it's the lowest we've had in a year. Is there a reason behind that, or?
I'll ask Carl Vandermine, our engineering director, to address that.
Mr. Zapp, I don't believe there's a particular reason. Those things kind of go in cycles. I think in the last month, obviously there was a lot of rain, and that may have slowed down some of the actual construction work.
Is there nothing outlier?
But there's nothing out of the ordinary.
This was noticeable over the last 12
Yeah.
months. No slowdown overall as far as your backlog?
No slowdown at all, and actually, the building permits, show a still steady trend, and the request for information was almost double last month, which was due to several requests for new developments in terms of getting water and sewer fees paid. So they all go kind of in cycles.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And we also have 2 walk-in items, and they're in front of you on the table. And they're both resolutions, and they're both designed to ensure our continuity of services during the COVID-19 outbreak. They're both purely contingency items that would help us if the board was unable to meet. And the first one is the board continuity resolution, and it would allow this board to meet over telephone or other electronic means if for some reason the board didn't want to get together face-to-face. Since we only have 1 meeting a month, we were to miss a meeting, then that would give us a 60-day gap that we certainly could potentially slow down the organization.
And
So-
this is something we'd only do in an emergency.
Yes, these are both contingency items. We're hoping neither one would be needed, but this would at least allow us to have a meeting over telephone, Skype, or some other electronic means. And the second resolution is also for business continuity, and this would be in the case or circumstance that the board did not meet. This would allow the executive director to continue to sign contracts and conduct the business of the organization, and then report back to the board on anything that occurred. But it would not include things such as adopting the budget or passing ordinances and such that certainly would need to come to the board. So we are certainly available to answer questions, but we would recommend both resolutions.
Any questions?
Jim, I'm mildly embarrassed to say this, but who is our deputy executive director?
That would be Carl Vandermeiden and Frank Stiers. We have two.
Two of them, great, okay.
Any other questions?
I move the resolutions. Do we have to do them separately?
Yes.
I would do them separately.
I move the board continuity resolution. Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
I would then move the board business, what does it say? The business continuity resolution.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Jim, thank you.
Thank you. And that concludes my reports.
All right. All right, let's move on to our committee reports. Executive Committee, we met on March 4th, 2020 last week, and those minutes are in your packet for your review. Long-range planning, Larry?
Yes, the minutes of the Long Range Planning Committee meeting from February 27th are in your packet. And we've been discussing a lot of very interesting items and urge you to read the minutes. Otherwise, I'm here to answer any questions.
All right, Larry, thank you. Next on the agenda is Sustainability Committee. Jessica is not here to report for that, but the minutes are in your packet from their meeting on February 27th. And we'll move on to Finance Committee.
All right, the minutes from our March 4th meeting are in the packet for review, and Mr. McLean will give an update.
Good morning. Just very briefly, just a look at our revenues versus our expenditures to date. As of the end of January, our unrestricted fund balance is around $75.7 million. That's at the bottom there on line 20. Roughly consistent with where it was at the end of December. Just one thing to note, on line 7 there, the transfers to capital funds, that $18 million, that's that $18 million in recurring PAYGO funding. And we have basically used all of the current year revenues that are available to fund our capital programs, our capital projects that are funded with PAYGO appropriations. So to the extent that those projects spend during the rest of the year, that money is going to come out of fund balance. Again, that's deliberate, and that will go to reduce that $75.7 million that you see there at the bottom on line 20. Are there any questions on this? Just a look again, at those key drivers for the water and wastewater volume and fixed charges. Ahead, again, not as much as we were at the end of January. We were doing some billing in anticipation of going live with the new CIS system, which did go live on February 24th. So we kind of saw some correction there, but you can see that we're still ahead in terms of those key drivers. Consumption per ERU and ERUs, and again, really trying to be as realistic as we can, kind of factoring in growth trends in the ERUs and the consumption that we're going to be factoring in and assuming for the FY21 budget. skip.
Yeah, as a newbie here, what does ERU stand for?
It's equivalent residential unit. So there's different customers that have larger meter sizes, and so just to kind of get a uniform way of looking at these customers that have these different meter sizes, they're scaled down, and so we look at them as if they were residential units, 5/8 or 1-inch meters. This is just a snapshot at our PFAS-related expenditures incident to date. You can see about $11.5 million spent so far. I'll draw your attention to that kind of fourth line down there under the construction. You can see that remaining encumbered large amount there, about $34 million. That's related to the construction of the upgrades at Sweeney, and we will continue to see some large expenditures there as that project comes to completion. And just a quick look at our other revenues, discussed the water and wastewater revenues have a little bit of a lag in our investment earnings. Again, we've seen interest rates fall, so we're kind of feeling that just a little bit. So we'd like to see that percentage earned. It's currently at 61.87, which you can see on line 3 at the end there. We'd like to see it closer to that 66.66 since we're 2/3 through the year. So just a little bit of a lag there. You can see our SDCs are ahead, certainly of where we assumed that they would be for FY20, and it looks like we're also outperforming a little bit on those other revenues, our fees, other fees, fines, and those types of things. So any questions? And that's all I got. Thank you.
Lastly, the customer service update is in the packet also for review. And that's it for finance.
All right, thank you, Jerry. All right, Human Resources Committee. Okay.
The minutes are in the packet. We met our new director, McQuay, at the meeting, and also discussed issues about some salary increases, particularly for lab techs, which we made a recommendation will be part of the budget for you all to vote on.
All right. Kevin, thank you. Any old business?
Mr. Chair, will we get to the customer service update? Is that coming up on the agenda? Or
It was just within your packet for review. But if
sorry,
you've got
there was a
questions, go
separate
ahead.
one, yeah, there was a separate sheet in my packet that came through. I just wanted to bring up the question. I know I received 2 calls about difficulties from customers trying to pay their bill online. And I didn't know if it was related to our new software that was put in, but there was some frustration out there. If we could address that and figure out where we're at, that'd be great.
And I'll let Christy give more detail, but when we did switch over to the new system, people got new account numbers and new login information. So
Right.
staff has been working with our customers to get them set back up. But overall, the process has run very, very smoothly.
Smooth, yeah.
Great,
So, like Mr. Pleckner said, they do have new account numbers, and there's also an activation code that they need in order to either set up a new customer self-service account or, through our portal, or to make a payment through the IVR. That information is included on their first bill. So, they can wait until they get their first bill. If they need it in order to make a payment in advance of that, then they will need to call in order to get that information. The majority of the calls that we're getting right now are related to that. But again, we have virtual hold, so we can call them back. They can send in an email request as well through the Contact Us page.
So, yeah, help me help you in that. Just tell them to wait for their first bill
They can.
and not to panic and
Correct.
and that would save a call and
Right, and right now, knowing, that there is a delay, in getting through,
Yes.
they are not incurring late fees at this time. So, they can wait until they get their first bill in order to get that information.
great. Okay. Yeah, well, thanks, Christine.
Sure. Any other questions?
Haven't had a call.
Thank you, Chris.
Mr. Chair, also, I had a note in the executive committee reports that I just wanted to touch base on. I noticed that there was a comment made about the Pender County and about the in the future. It's the Scotts Hill connection there, and we would not be able to service that and provide water through that. The question is for how long and how much water have we been and how much water will we not be able to deliver to them?
Thank you. Last summer, when we were in the drought, and Pender was in the drought at the same time,
Yeah.
our system in that area, which is off the Richardson groundwater plant, was running at full capacity. We had some emergency wells helping from time to time to help keep pressure up. And that brought us to the conclusion that we didn't have capacity to sell to a county outside our service area. We do have in our capital improvement budget and our plan in 3 to 5 years to increase the capacity from 6 to 9 million gallons per day. At that point, we'd be in a much better position to have discussions with Pender County about that. But we have a lot of growth in the Sidbury Road area. We've had discussions with Figure 8 Island. So there are a lot of things that certainly would come into play during those discussions. We had an emergency connection last summer that was never used. So we have yet to sell water to Pender County.
How much water are we talking about or anticipating?
Well, we're anticipating not selling them water.
Right. But are we, 1 million gallons a day?
They were in the couple 100,000 range with what they were looking for. Our concern, of course, is that on the days they would likely need it during a drought are the same days our system would be stressed.
Yeah, right. So we need those new wells up there before we can talk seriously with it. That's what it amounts to. Does this provide, or are we getting any indication this is going to create a hardship for Pender County?
We've had ongoing discussions with them, and we're certainly sensitive to all of our neighboring utilities. We work closely with them. So I'm sure they've got their issues to deal with on their side of the county line, just as we do on ours. But certainly if we could help out, we would.
It's the southern part of Pender County, the southeast part is very high growth, as you know, and the demand is there. But we have help on its way to our next discussion in CIP, it sounds like.
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. Thanks very much. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Rob. Any other questions this morning? All right, being none, I will entertain a motion to go into closed session to discuss Chemours and DuPont.
So moved.
Second.
Actually, it'll be just Chemours.
Just Chemours. All right. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, let's take about 5 minutes.
See.